We're at Asbury Lanes with Jay Sakong of Owel. Jay, there's a little bit of a rebranding of the band of late, recently. Were Old Nick, now Owel. Can you talk about how that happened, what went down for us?
Basically, this band from California hit us up and they said that that the name was taken and that they had the name, and that they were, I think they were broken up at the time, but they were doing a reunion tour, so they wanted the name back, and so yeah, we weren't really attached to Old Nick at all, you know, it was just a name, so we changed it to Owel, and that's that, it's just a name.
And what is Owel? What is that name? Where did that come from?
I have no idea, actually. I think Ryan said Owl, and there's a band called The Owls, and there's a band called Owl City, obviously, so I like the sound of it, so I was like, why don't we just add an E in there? I mean, I don't know, the way I look at like naming bands is a lot like naming your kid, you know, like it's just, I never want to be in a band that like was defined by the name that was given to it, you know, like there's so many names that I feel like get dated, you know, quickly because of the type of name it is, and it really accurately describes their sound, so it kind of forces the band into that one sound and it makes them unable to change in a way. But, so yeah, it's like, you know, if you name your kid Bob, it's the same thing, it's just a name and it doesn't really mean anything, it's just a name, you know.
Alright, so, I mean, you mentioned your sound, recently put out an album, vinyl came out today.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about it for the sound, for those who may not be familiar with you, you know, describe your sound for them.
Yeah, I mean, our sound, it's always a hard question. I mean, you know, we're influenced by bands like Radiohead and Sigur Rós and Explosions in the Sky, Mogwai, all that good stuff. I would say that we're a little poppier than them, and I'm not afraid to say poppier, like I'm not afraid to say poppin', because usually pop is like such a dirty word, you know, but as far as pop, I mean, if something has a verse, chorus, and a bridge in there somewhere, I mean, I think that's a pop structure, so. Yeah, I mean, you know, we have song structures, and it's not as linear as maybe the bands that I just mentioned, but yeah.
And you did recently put out self-titled, yes? Self-titled LP?
Yeah, a record, full-length. It was actually my first full-length ever in all the bands that I've been in. So yeah, we just put out a full-length record, self-titled, and yeah. I mean, there was some question as to like whether or not the record should have a name, but you know, we just had a name change. I didn't want it to be too confusing, so yeah.
First full-length, what was that experience like for you?
It actually wasn't that different from recording our last EP, you know. I mean, maybe initially recording that was a new experience because that was one of the first times that like I produced something myself, and you know, I'm not too savvy when it comes to producing, or and not that I think that I could do it better than, you know, anyone else. It's just I know what I like, and I like having. I'm a little anal that way. I like having full control over, you know, what's in my head and what comes out of the speakers. So, and this is the same thing. But I had my friend Will mix it. He did an amazing job. It's really, I'm really lucky for that because, you know, he's a guy that is a little out of my league. You know what I mean? Like, he does bands that are way bigger, but he's just a friend of mine, and so he did it for me. And
what do you want people to feel when they're listening to this music, especially given the genre that you perform?
Really anything. You know, I mean, you know, I don't. One of my favorite bands is Sigur Rós, and that's pretty obvious when I think when you listen to the music. And I don't try too hard to hide that influence, but one of the things I love about them is that, you know, they don't sing in any known language for the most part. So you can really feel, you're not distracted by a certain message or anything like that. And I do try to leave the lyrics somewhat vague. Just, you know, whatever you're feeling that day, if it can help that and enhance that, then, you know, I think that's a good thing. Should I close that door?
Sure. We can cut all this out. This is good.